Comic book films are a big part of the film industry. These days, you can't go a single summer without the release of a comic book film. There have been some truly awesome ones, and there has also been truly missed ones. There have been truly great ones, and there have been some that are not so great. But in the late 90s, it was pretty much a dying thing with films like Batman and Robin. Oh, that was a sad dose of fail. And then there was, of course, that film. But in 2000, it gets a big revive with X-Men. I was longing for the day this would become a live-action film. I used to love the cartoon on Saturday mornings in the early 90s. Now, the franchise has had its ups and downs. You know, everybody's saying X-Men The Last Stand is the worst, comes in close second to X-Men Origins Wolverine. But, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, okay, I don't think any of the X-Men films are bad. They're flawed, but they're not bad. Now, I could imagine first casting this film, the hardest part to cast would have been Wolverine. I mean, he's always been the character who really stood out. I mean, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, how awesome! He's too perfect for the role. They almost went with Russell Crowe for Wolverine, and Russell Crowe turned it down, and Dougray Scott almost got the role, but after getting over budgeted on Mission Impossible, Brian Cox, director, decided to go with another actor, and they went well with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And boy, he really became Wolverine. And Ian McKellen really became Magneto. My only big problem with the film is I felt they written too much for Wolverine and Magneto. They just felt like the other characters, like X-Men, Storm and Jean Grey, they were all written as side characters. They just didn't. I felt like the X-Men were guest stars in their own movie. But they made up for that in X-Men 2. I mean, Wolverine did some cool stuff, but they let the other characters shine. I mean, we got to see a lot more of Jean Grey, Storm, and Nightcrawler. I mean, played by Alan Cumming, who was really good, and don't forget Brian Cox as William Stryker. He was awesome villain. He's just so good at being hateful, and he has his way of being really cunning. And X-Men 2 was a big hit, and I think did a little bit better than X-Men 1. Then came X-Men The Last Stand. I know everybody says that's the worst. Well, mainly because of because they killed off Charles Xavier and Cyclops. I mean, I hated what they did with the Cyclops character. I mean, in the comic books and in the cartoon, he was a man of strength and a leader. In the movies, he was none of that. He was just reduced down to nothing. I like them Jemison as Jean Grey, and when she's she's really tortured. She's kind of like a older version of Carrie, Stephen King's Carrie. I mean, and I know they were trying to do with the Phoenix Saga, and she just really that was good special effects. I like the ice up scene with Iceman and Juggernaut. I was longing the day that character was going to appear. Vinnie Jones was great. Kelsey Grammer, really great as Beast. Now my other problem with this movie is that the Archangel character played by Ben Foster, they gave him a story arc, but they didn't do much with that character. They should have done more. But he didn't feel nearly as tacked on as Venom in Spider-Man. Now, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't think that movie was bad, but I don't think it was great either. It was just, it felt kind of there. It was entertaining in spots, it had entertaining characters, and I don't know if it was even necessary to tell Wolverine's origin story. I mean, we see it in flashbacks, do we really need to know more? But they felt they needed to be told. He was a Liev Schreiber, was a good Sabretooth. Danny Masterson was good as a Stryker. I mean, he wasn't quite as memorable as Brian Cox, but he was good. Lynn Collins was good as, I forgot who her character was. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. And there came X-Men First Class. Showed you the beginnings of Charles Xavier and Eric Lyncher, who later became Magneto. Now, I didn't think anybody could top those characters. I mean, I thought Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were Magneto and Charles Xavier, but surprisingly, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender really made the parts their own. I mean, they really became those characters. I mean, they did it without doing bad imitations of Stewart and McKellen. And Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. Now, this movie cannot really decide what it wants to be, a reboot or a prequel, because the continuity from the first X-Men just doesn't match up. Oh, Charles Xavier said when he was 17 he met Magneto. Yeah, does James McAvoy look 17? He looks close to early to mid-20s. And then he states that Magneto helped him build Cerebro. Yeah, but in X-Men First Class, it was declared that Beast built Cerebro, aka Hank McCoy, and they say he got paralyzed in this film, but in X-Men The Last Stand he was walking, and it doesn't mash up. Still a great film though, just the continuity doesn't match. And then there was the Wolverine telling the samurai story, which I found was entertaining. Like I said, I don't think it was a great film. It was enjoyable. I mean, I loved the Silver Samurai scene. I wish it could have been done a little better. I mean, I'm sure a lot of fans were ticked off. I mean, similar to what they did in the Iron Man 3, the Mandarin thing. It's kind of similar, but not quite. Still, I like the different setting, and I still like the Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He never disappoints. No, he doesn't. What's in store for X-Men Days of Future Past? I don't know. All I know is it's about time travel and past colliding and so forth. So keep our fingers crossed. See you later.